Right. There we are. Just checking to make sure we're okay. And that we're connected. There we are. That's fine. Don't know if that's my camera or whether it's me. It's a bit wonky. I'm sure we're fine. I'll just adjust the camera a minute. There we are, that's better. So I know I'm a little bit early at the moment, but if anybody is on, then just say hello. Alright. So what a lovely day it's turned out to be. Type in hello in the comments and then we'll know who's watching as well. I know I'm a little bit early at the moment. How is everyone? Is anybody on? Let's have a look at that. I'm going to put this card up closer so you can see it. And the robins are all raised as well. With a nice. So it is actually 7 o'clock now, so I don't know if there's many people on. Hi Janice. So at least we know we're live. I hope you can all hear me okay. Right, so what we're going to do then, it's actually gone 7, so I'll give it another minute just to get the people on. So I'm going to show you how I made this card. It's got some embossing on it, some fluffy stuff. I'll show you how I did the raised robins as well, because they've got fat stomachs. And I'm going to show you how to do these green background bits on the side as well. Okay, so we are going to be doing an order probably the next couple of days with Creative Expressions. So I know the row of robins is out of stock with us, but there's other options as well, and I'll show you them in a bit. Okay, and you can do everything exactly the same with them. Okay, so let's get going with the demo then, because I can see there's 7 people watching. So let's start. So that's the card. If I show a few of the stamps quickly, and then I can. So that is Robins in a Row. I think that's what it's called. Yep, Robins in a Row. Okay, which is the one I've used. You also got the individual robins, which are bubble hopping robins, and you can do the same thing with these robins because they are sort of the same shape. Okay, so we can do that as well and make our own row of robins. Also got robin stack, bubble robin stack, so they're stacked on top of each other's heads. And then I've also got sort of the wreath, which is bubble circle. bubble tree, I gather, bubble tree stack. Hi Jill. Now we've got bubble snowman. I've got bubble ornaments, which means you can make little decorations. And then I've actually got the little alphabets as well, which actually fit in all these circles as well. So that's quite nice. And then I have got another two woodware ones, and that's these ones, and we have got some of these in the shop as well. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you, so hi everyone, how are you all? Oh, we've got a few with us today. So we got Janice, Jackie, Jill Cash, Carolyn, Barbara Day, Gaynor Middleton, Sarah Ridgway and Elizabeth Powell as well. So here we go, let's get going. So first thing I'm going to do is show you how I've done these little backgrounds here, this little green areas. And to do that, hi Sheila, to do that I'm actually going to use shaving foam. Now, I'm sorry you can see the make, but that's the one I've got, doesn't matter. And I'm going to give it a good old shake. You can do it like a cocktail if you want, you know. Or you can just give it a good old shake just to get a little bit of the foam working and blending and moving into each other. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a wee ball or little bit of foam on there. And I'm going to take an A5 piece of card. Now, one thing I didn't get was my guillotine. That's all right. I think that's my trimmer. One thing I forgot to get out was my guillotine. That's alright, I'll get my trimmer instead. So I've got shaving foam and I just need a small amount of card to do the two green bits, but to save messing around and stuff I'm actually going to use an A5 piece. So I'm gonna, hi Sue. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut that in half. Okay, pop that to the side. So I've got an A5 piece of card. Now this is our pick and mix card, which we actually take. Hi Helen. So A5 piece of card, pick and mix. It's not super smooth because super smooth doesn't quite take water very well. It'll bubble and bobble. So this is why I'm using that. And I'm also going to use some watercolour ink drops. So I've got an orange, a yellow, a purple and a blue. Now I could just use the yellow and the blue, and then I can work a spot of, put 2 spots of the blue into the foam. And these watercolours have actually got a pipette thing where you push down the lid in the liquid, and when you leave go of the lid, it actually picks up the liquid inside the pipette, and then you just squeeze it to drop down. Hi Charlotte, and I'm covered in blue already, which means I'm crafting. Hey, I've got some yellow. I put 2 spots of yellow in there as well. And the secret we're using shaving foam is not to put too much liquid into it, because otherwise the shaving foam goes all runny. Now, although probably wouldn't matter with this, but if you want to put this through a stencil, then obviously that would make a difference. So I'm going to mix this up a little bit, and then I'm going to spread it out, and it looks marbly at the moment. Oh, I think that's going to be a lovely sort of colour. And if I want it a bit more green, so all I need to do is add a little bit more yellow into it and mix that in. Okay, so again a little bit more of a greeny colour to it now. There we are. I'm not worried about how I spread that foam onto that mat. Okay, and I've got a nice little cloth. I'm just wiping my shaving foam off, and I've got my heat gun ready as well. So you can see this is all bobbly and bubbly and it's all over the place. So I'm going to take the half a sheet of card, and I've got a little spot of blue on there, but that's why I'm using this piece, and that's all I'm going to do is sort of lift. Okay, I'm going to pop it in and lift it and dry it. So what we're going to do this a few times, and even though it's got speckles on it and stuff like that, don't worry about that. This will just vanish. The shaving foam will vanish. If we want, we can just dry a little bit of it, and this will just dry some of the colour into the actual card. And then what we do, we just go back in, and we're going to just tap it down in different places until we've got what we want. Okay, you can leave as much white on as you want, or you can just cover it all up. And the more you start pushing into the shaving foam, the more it becomes thinner and it starts to vanish a lot more, and then you get more speckles, more lines. So cutting Christmas trees or leaves out of this would be quite nice, for holly leaves and all sorts of other things. And as you dry it, the shaving foam just vanishes down, and where the shaving foam lines are, they actually become like veins in the card. Okay, I'm going to try this end bit, and then I'm going to put it back in the shaving foam again. And then I will have a look at the comments and see if there's anything I can answer. So I'm just putting that down. I want to get rid of quite a bit of the white. Don't want it all to be white. I'm just using it, dabbing it around, and to make some lovely backgrounds, and you'll get a completely different look with all the shaving foam as well. There we are. And I'm just going to dry that, and then I'm going to wipe my mat clean. And if the shaving foam's got any scent or stuff like that, it actually makes the card smell lovely. It does actually make the card smell really, really nice as well. So there we are. So I'm quite happy with what I've got there. It's got bits of white in there. And if any of your inks that you're putting into this have got any shimmer, then the shimmer will actually show on the card as well. Okay, so there we are. So that's that bit. And you can see the nice veins and spots and everything else that's on there. Okay, there we are. I'm going to pop that to the side. A little bit of water. I use a microfiber cloth because I find it soaks up a lot quicker and it removes a lot of stuff a lot quicker, and it also dries your work mat a lot easier as well. Yeah. So that is how we do, and that's how we do that. So the colours are completely different, but I'm not worried about that. I quite like it. So that's what you need. And if I'd added some of the orange and a spot of the orange and a spot of the purple, I would have eventually got that colour that I had on this card. But I wanted to go a different colour today. Okay, so there's my little piece there. And then I've got this little piece here, which is the other half. And let's have a look. I'll get there tomorrow, but not being well today. All right. That's okay, Annie. Annie said she's a little bit late, but that's no problem. You can always catch up, although that's all I've done is put the shaving foam on the mat, and that's she's done that. So I'm taking another half of the sheet, and I'm just going to take an embossing folder. So this is a very old embossing folder. We are looking out for new Christmas embossing folders. People have been asking for 8x8 or A4 folders, so we are looking out for them as well. So I'm just going to get my big shot. Just going to fold that over plate and plate. I'm going to pop that through. If I got that right, the sandwich should be fine. There we are. Right. So what I need to do, I'm going to use my big shot for a while. I need to just drop that little shim there as well. And put it back through. So if anybody has any questions at all, don't be afraid to ask, and we'll try and answer them. I think Gavin is watching this downstairs, so if I don't see your comment, then Gavin will always pick it up. Okay, so now I've got an embossing piece there as well. Folded that over the thing instead of doing everything else. This is going to be for my centre bit of the card there. Okay. Doesn't matter about the marks. Yeah, it is a nice colour. It's a very nice colour. So Jill said she likes the colour. Good evening, glad to be joining you from Devon. Oh, hi Pauline. Glad you're joining us from Devon. Hope you enjoyed it. So embossing folder, I already need 2/3 of an A5. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. I'm going to cut this piece now where I folded it. So that'll be 13 centimeters, and then I'm going to cut it down to 14 centimeters as well. So that will be for the centerpiece. So that was 13 by 14, okay, and that's going to go on like that onto my card, okay, and these will come out the side. So I also need to do 2 little strips of this, so I can take a bit off. I can choose whatever part I need on this, but they do need to be at 14 centimeters as well. I go to 14. It's very moisturised, this card as well. Very, very moisturised. And my strips are 4.5, 3.5 centimeters, or for those who like inches, it's 1 1/2/3/8. So 3.5 to 3.5 is 7, so I'm just going to go for that. 7, and push it into 3.5, and that's going to be my 2 strips then. There we are. So that's my 2 strips. It's going to go along the side there. Okay, so you can see now the card is starting to build up. 3.5 on that, and then this will come for another 2 cards, maybe another card. Okay, so you always do a bigger sheet and it'll always come again for something else. So has anybody got any questions at the moment? I like to use, I'm using 300 gram as well for this card. I'm just going to use, I'm making an A5 card, so I'm taking another A4 sheet, putting a landscape on my scoreboard and scoring it 15 centimeters. If the card is really thick, you can also score it again on the opposite side, and then when you fold it, it'll be a good clean score and it won't crack. And I've always been in the print trade as well, so I've always been told that a professional card has a little lip on the back, so the front part is slightly larger, so that's why we scored it at 15. Okay, and that is our A5 card, and it's going to be a 10-fold card as well. And I think our friend Delia is actually watching. I think it's Delia's birthday tomorrow, I think. So happy birthday, Delia. So now we've done the 2 bits. We've done our white emboss piece, and we've also done our base card. Okay, now I want to come to actually doing the image and the sentiment. So what I have now, I've taken another piece of A5, that's slightly narrower than A5, okay, and I'm going to use it that way, but put a stamp on there. And I love my press to impress. I am a competent stamper, but I do like to use the press to impress. So I'm going to pop that into the corner. I'm going to put my magnets to hold it. And I'm going to grab the stamp I'm using. So I'm actually going to use the Wibbly Wobbins, the row of robins, or do I show you how to do it with the individuals? Because it's alive, I'll actually use the row of robins to show that easier. But it's very easy to just do a wiggly line with a black line, fine liner pen, and just stamp your robins in a row exactly as they are there. They're all the same size, they're all pointing the same way, and they've all got different faces as well. And I'll show you how to use those separate faces that are on the stamp as well. Okay, so I'm just going to take the stamp out, and I've also got the sentiment that I'm going to use as well on this stamp. Now, as I said, we're out of stock of this one in the shop, but if you do want it, if you comment on the live now, or by the end of the live, or comment later, or send us a message, then we will actually put it on our list to order. And just be aware, if we can't get the roll ones, would you want the individuals as well? If we can't get the row of robins, and that's something to consider when messaging us. Okay, So I've got my image, and I'm going to also put my sentiment on as well. So I'm going to put my sentiment towards the bottom here, so that it'll be easier for me to cut away from the actual image as well. And for my ink, I'm actually going to be using, that's okay Tracy, you're not too late, you've just missed how I've used the shaving foam and embossing, that's all. So I'm now going to stamp these images, and I'm using the VersaFine. So as long as it's a nice dark colour to do the line art, that's nice. Okay, I'm going to bring that over and do that. Now, we also in the shop have what we call the hockey puck, which if you have a problem pushing down, you can use both hands to hold it, like that, and you can just stamp like that, which will make sure then that you get a good firm push on all your stamping. Okay. And then that's all I do is spray my stamp with water, use the microfiber cloth that I used earlier, and I give it a good old wipe, and that just takes off all the ink, and if any ink is left on there I can use a stamp cleaner at a later time, but that is usually suffice to keep that clean. Okay, and now I'm going to show you what to do with the faces. Okay, so is everybody okay? So the colour I used was Twilight, but you can use the Nocturne, you can use a dark brown, you can use whatever colour you want really, because I mean brown would be good for the robins as well, because I'm going to colour them brown in a bit. Okay, so that is that. But to do the faces and the extra umped lifted robins, I'm actually just taking the same white card. Let's pick a mix. Okay, and I'm going to take a Big Bubble craft die. And Creative Expressions is out of stock of the large die at the moment, but hopefully they'll be in stock soon. I know a lot of you had these last year for using a different, with the hanging baubles and stuff like that. So I'm just going to take that little bit of die. I'm going to take my cutting plates for the big shot, and I'm going to cut that once. Okay, I'm going to show you what I do then with that. So I'm only going to do a few of the robins. Now, lucky for me, it's cut, but those circles have stayed in, and that's why I use A300, because sometimes they stay in, sometimes they don't. But this is the easiest way I've found to actually stamp the faces into those circles. So if your circles drop out, don't be afraid, just take them out, leave them drop, put your bit of card that they've dropped out of. Okay, so say they dropped out, you're left with holes. Take your circles while you're on your press and push them back in like that. Okay, and then what we do, we take the faces. Now I've got 2 large and 2 medium on this, okay, so, and 1 small, so I'm going to do the small one. I only need 1 small one, so I'm going to set that up on the little small one. I'm going to do the 2 large ones. Now there's 3 faces for the large ones. So you've got one that's facing right, one that's facing left, and one that's facing straight on. So I can change the faces now that are on this stamp as well. So I'll show you how the beak is facing. So this beak is facing that way, that beak is facing that way, that one's facing that way, and then this one is facing straight on. Okay, so I can change this one to be facing right if I wanted to while I'm stamping these. So this is why you've got little faces around here. Okay, so I'm only going to do 2 of the large faces. In fact, I'm only going to do 3 of them. I'm going to do 2 of the large ones, and I'm going to do a small one. Okay, so that's all I do. I've set them up so that they're sitting inside the circle. I can show you that. I can bring that up a little bit closer to show you. Okay, so you can see this in the actual circles. And then I can, because my paper is stuck where it should be, I've now picked that up and I'm going to stamp. But it's a good way of holding the circles. That's been stamped, and then I can take that and I can pop them out. Now if I wanted to, I could leave them in and colour them while they're in there for that. If I'm new to crafting and making cards, do I need all the equipment you are using, or is there a simpler way to start? Right, and Bev, so that's Beverly that's asking that question. To do the stamping, Beverly, you don't need a press to impress. You could just use an acrylic block, which is just a little plastic block that comes square, circle and stuff like that, and just 1 ink pad, some stamps that you want to use, and then you can just use normal colouring pencils to colour your images and stuff like that. Try to see if there is some crafting shops around by you that do classes. If you're near to us, then we do classes where you can try different things at the classes by using our products, or our customers always share, and then that'll give you an idea then of what sort of style of crafting you will like, whether it's the stamping, just the colouring. If it's just the colouring, then you could just buy small colouring books and stuff like that, colour them, cut them out, stick them onto cards, and you can just get the cards and envelopes that are already folded as well. So that's sort of an easy way of starting, really. Is that something that you can do locally? Do you know? But you don't need to have everything that we've got. These are things that people build up in the craft world when they're doing crafting, and they just get a little bit at a time. So 1 ink pad, and you can buy little ink pads, so you don't have to buy the bigger ink pads. You can buy smaller ink pads, and you can work everything out that way. So I always look after my stamps. I always clean them after I've used them, and I always put them away in their packets so that they don't get lost. So it's always good to look after your products, and then your products will last you a lifetime. Okay. So now I've got my row of robins, and I've got 3 little faces. Okay. So to do my 3 little robins, I'm going to cut them to 14 centimeters. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer. If you haven't got a trimmer, you could get a craft knife and a self-healing mat as well, and you can just cut things with a ruler on a self-healing mat. with a craft knife, so you don't need to invest first of all with cutting machines and stuff like that. Oh well, our classes are always step-by-step instructions. Literally step-by-step instructions. I supply all the card. I'm there to give you all the tuition, and we never leave anybody sort of panic and worry. I'm quite calm as well, so you know, you shouldn't get too stressed in the class. So I'm quite a calming person in the class as well. Okay, so that's all I'm doing now is just measuring my panels. So the bird panel is 6 centimeters by 14 centimeters. Okay, so 6 centimeters by 14 centimeters, and that'll give me my little bird panel. I'm glad you're enjoying the tutorial. Yeah, most of the ladies that are on here actually do come to the classes that are commenting, so you know, they do enjoy them, and some of them have been coming for a good few years, because we do all sorts of different projects and every month is a different card. Yes, Pauline, you come to a class, you'll enjoy that as well again. Okay, so now I've got my sentiment, I've got my row of birds and my 3 little faces. Okay, so basically I've got all my little bits that I need. The only thing I need now is my pearlescent card or my mirror card. Okay, and I'm going to cut that once I've shown you how I colour these and how I shape them and put them together. Okay, so when I'm colouring with alcohol pens, I always put an extra bit of card underneath the piece I'm colouring, for a simple reason. The alcohol, when you're colouring, can go through the card, and if you've got a varnish table or a table, it can go into your table. And if you don't put a bit of card underneath or a bit of paper, what it can do, the ink can go down into the card and then spread beyond the lines that you're colouring to. Okay, so I'm just using the Tonic Nuvo alcohol pens. I've got all sorts of different alcohol pens, but that's the one I'm just going to go for. If you want to check what colour your pens are before you commit to colouring, then just check it on a bit of scrap card. So that red is fine, and then I want some browns. So I want a light brown. That's more yellow, so I don't want that one. There we are. So I think that's going to be my lightish brown. And then I'm going to go for a darker brown as well. So that is quite dark, so that's fine. In fact, that lighter brown is a bit more. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the brush sand. Yeah, that's the colour. So I'm going to use them. Okay, so I'm just choosing my colours. Once you've chosen the colours, then alcohol pens. Yeah, we all share in the class, don't we, Charlotte? It's a good group. We're a good group of ladies that come. So on my original, I've actually sort of done whittles around the robin, around the edge of the robin, but I'm going to do that a little bit different this time, just to show you can do them different. So with the robin, there's the top part of his head, and it goes down the back of his body as well. Okay, so that, and then around the edges, I'm actually going to do his leg in brown as well. Okay, and then around the edges, I'm just going to do some dots. Now I've seen the designer of the stamp actually do this, and it did look quite nice, so that's why I'm doing it that way this time. And don't forget, we need to colour the tails as well. It's the tail feathers. Okay, so that's the one robin, and I can colour these really quickly in a minute. I just want to show you how to do one. And then I'm going to take my red, and with my red I'm literally just going to flick out in sort of a roundish sort of shape. I'm going to colour the belly of the robin, and then I'm going to go in with my lighter brown, and I'm going to go over the edge of the red and colour the face. So I think the robin's face, if I use a dark brown, it would be too dark and you would sort of hide the eyes. And then that's what I'm doing, is going over the edge of the red, which tones it down into the brown, and then we end up with that nice little coloured robin. Takes a couple of seconds for me to see what you're seeing, so that's why I'm holding it for a bit longer. Okay, so that's the robin. There we are. Okay. Yeah, that's fine, Pauline. I've always got the stuff to use in the classes as well, so that's not a problem. So if you're ever around and you read a book, if you go to our website, www.valleycraft.co.uk, there's a little link for classes and events, and it'll actually tell you whether there's any spaces left in the classes as well. Okay, so this is how we do these robins, and then with the faces it's just exactly the same. You just colour the outer edge, do the little robin breast. I'm just holding it where I've just coloured it, and then I'm just going to take the light colour and I'm just scribbling. I'm not being too fussy. They're only small little robins, so it doesn't need too much of an, details and stuff like that, because the details are in the stamp as well. So that's all we do. We just stamp and colour. And these could be coloured with pencils, they could be coloured with watercolours if you're using the right card. So, and then that one I'm going to put over there to make him look that way, to make him look like he's a bit not happy with his friends. So I'm going to put that face on there, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to leave him as he is, I'm going to leave him flat, and I'm going to do this one raised, and I'm going to do the little one raised as well, or I might even just do two. So I might just do two raised. So I'll do the little one and the big one facing away as if he's looking in disgust, because everybody's nicked his seeds. Okay, so I'm just going to colour that robin. Little red breast. I have seen people colouring the whole of the face and the breast as red. That's entirely up to you. You don't have to colour it the way I'm colouring it. I just like to have the two tones of brown on the stamp. And you can see it does come through the card, the alcohol ink. So that's that one. Now, because I'm putting this one over that one and I'm putting this one over that one, I don't really want to be colouring them completely. Okay, because otherwise I'm just wasting my alcohol ink and I'm just doing the job twice really when it's going to be covered. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you what I do. Just on the inner edge of there, I'm just going to go around the edge with the red. I'm going to go, so you look at the image and he's going to be there, just the red around the edge. Okay, then you take your brown, and you just go around the outer edge like that. So I'm going the inner edge of everything there, and then with the robin, little robin, just go like that. So you don't have to colour it all, but because we're going to dome these and shape them, I just don't want to see any white when I stick them on top of them. Okay, so we'll just do that, and then the light colour, we'll just go around the edges like that. So you don't have to colour the whole of the robin inside. Okay, so you just do sort of the rim, the inner rim, ridge of the inner rim of the robin. Okay, so again, quickly colour the other robins. La, 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 la. Like I said, it's nice and simple. If you go outside the edges when you're colouring with this, it's not too bad because you're going to put the little brown marks there anyway. Okay, we can put little dots around that one. One dot around that one. Colour his legs in. I know I could have done legs in a different way, in different colours, but I'm just going to stick with brown. Put a little bit of brown around there. So they're quite quick cards to make as well, because they are easy images to colour. So you could get quite a few cards done. You can suppose what you need to make a card, so you just need a craft mat, glues and tapes. Yeah, glues and tapes, possibly. Craft mat, I've always got a glass mat in the shop anyway, but if you have got a craft mat, that is usually a good call to bring, just in case somebody else has forgotten one as well. I'm just going to do the legs. Da, 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 da. Okay, so now I've actually stamped those. I'm going to do a bit of red in there, so you can see I'm not being too fussy. The red I'm a little bit more careful with. Make it scallopy. You can make that as big as you want, as small as you want. Make the red breast as big as you want or as small as you want. You can make it a paler red, because not every robin is pure red. Some of them got a little pinky sort of breast. Some of them have a pink breast, so instead of a deep red. So if anybody else got any questions or anything need answering, that's okay, Donna. So Donna's my sister, for those who don't know. So I've just been colouring these. So I've done that. Now I'm not worrying about colouring the snow or stuff like that, because obviously it's white card, and I'm going to show you how to use all these little raised white bits and these raised brown bits. So that's called fluffy stuff. Okay, so now we've got our robins coloured. There it is. I've got a little body of the red little robin and a big robin as well, which I'm going to go over the top of these. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that there. That's for there. I've got these ready, and I'm not going to use the third one, but you can do all of them. All of them have been done in this one, but I'm only going to do a couple on the card today. Okay, and then I've finished with that bit. So to do the robin things here, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can use 3D glue gel. which is gel and some robin's breaststroke brown, red, if that, yes, a reddy brown, yeah. So you can use a 3D glue gel, which is a gel that was used for decoupage, making it more raised, or you can actually put little bits of foam tape at the back of them. Okay, I'm going to use my all-purpose collal, but what I'm going to do first is show you how I shape these. Okay, so you may have a shaping mat at home, and I have got a shaping mat somewhere, but I find that shaping mat is quite soft. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my press to impress upside down, and the foam on the bottom of this is quite dense, and I'm going to turn my robins in the circles upside down, and then obviously some of us have bowl tools, but as long as you've got something that's quite rounded and smooth, like my spatula, my palette knife, then I can use that as well. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use today to shape my robins. So I'm starting in the middle, little circles, and then coming out to the outer edge and go back into the middle. By going to the outer edge of that circle when you're doing it, it means you don't really get creases. Okay, and you can see then that has got a bit of a dome. Okay, so it's got a bit more of a shape to his body then. Okay, and I'm going to do that with the big one as well. So big one, I can put a little bit more pressure, starting in the middle and working my way out, and then work my way back into the middle, and then work my way back out in a circular motion, and I find that stops the cracks on the side. So then we've got two little raised robins bodies. Okay, so they stand up off, they stand proud on the table. Okay, so now, as you could see, the colouring was very easy. It was simple, so we don't need that anymore. Okay, so clear away our area, and then what I need then is to actually work what colour I need for the background. So what I'm going to take, do I use mirror card or pearlescent? I'll use pearlescent, I think. So I've got this drawer of pearlescent card. I've got golds, I've got coppery golds, and what I'm looking for now is something that will go well with the light colour of the robin. And that goes quite well actually, and when you put the green on it, I think that's a nice little contrast. Okay, so that's what I think I'm going to use. I'm going to use that. I could use any of the other colours I've got there. I've got bright orange there, I've got darker, deeper golds, I've got textured gold. Yeah, I'm going to use that one, I think. Right. Oh, that was a loud noise. Sorry. So yeah, so here is my sort of card to start doing. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to start with my panels. Okay, I'll start with my panels, which were, I'll start with this piece first. This was 14 and a half, 14 I think, that was 14 by 13, so I'm going to cut that half a centimetre bigger. Yeah, the breast of the robin can be any colour you want. So that was 14 and a half, 14, so I'm going to go 14 and a half with this one. So then I've got half a centimetre that's taller, which will give me a little matting layer to the top and bottom. And then this way was 13, so I'm going to cut that to 13.5. And that will give me my matting layer for that. Okay. And I'm going to do it slightly different way this time as well. I'm going to put the green panels underneath the white panel this time. I put them on the top that time. I'm going to put them underneath just as something a bit different. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to half this piece. So that is 7.5. So half of 7.5 is 3.5 and 2.25 bits. It's just so you then don't need to use that for these pieces. And I'm just going to use, you can use all-purpose colour, you can use high-tack glues. Because the card is quite thick, you won't see any of the glue coming through it. Okay, so you always put the glue on the smaller piece. Just going to put a little bit of glue along the bottom of that. I'm going to make sure that it has the same amount of colour top to the bottom and to the left on this one. And then on this one I'm going to do it top, bottom and to the right. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue along the back of that. Like I said, because it's, in fact I can even do that and then I can turn it around. So now we've got the same amount of colour on the both sides there. Okay. And we're going to bring in the card. So I know it doesn't look much different, my craft, where I'm doing this video, but I'm actually in a different room now. What I'm doing, I'm just going to pop that to the front of my base card. Okay, to the left, bit of white showing. And on this one, alright, with a little bit of white showing all the way around. And then when this goes on the top, it'll actually cover the edges that are not perfectly right. Okay, so bit of card, bit of glue on my embossing. So if you want to watch this video again once we're finished, you can either watch it through our Facebook page, or it will get downloaded or uploaded to YouTube as well. So you just find Valley Craft Limited and you'll see our Sunray logo, the yellow and green logo, and that will actually, and all the videos we've done in the past are on there as well. So you'll be able to watch that there, and you can rewatch them and rewatch them and rewatch them. So that's all I'm doing, is just putting that on the top, making sure that the gold card lines up with the two bottom ones, and it should line up the top with the two small ones because we cut it at the same size. So that's that. So I could actually make that this way if I had the bobbins on top of each other. I could put the snowman in the middle of that. I could put the tree in the middle of that, I could put the wreath in the middle of that, and I could even put the robins up the side there, and then have a sentiment, or put the robins up the centre and have a sentiment along the bottom that way. But I'm doing the row of robins, so this is what I need to do. So we're almost finished, apart from showing how to fit these on and do the fluffy stuff. We're almost to the end. So to cut this now, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to stick this on to my pearlescent with a nice little border. So sometimes I like to cut my smaller panels like this. I stick my sentiment along the bottom of this one, leaving the same amount of gold around it. Okay, so I've just done that, and then I can bring in my trimmer. And because I can see, because this cuts along the edge of this plastic here, I can then cut it so it's got the same amount of space around. Yeah, that's lovely. Or I can actually just put it that way, and I can see through the plastic there to see how much of a space I'm leaving on the edge. Okay, so that is my image. I'm going to do the sentiment as well. But we all do things differently, so you may do this a bit differently. You probably just cut it and then stick them both together, cut them to size and then do that. And then on these two, I'm actually going to put some foam pads. And I'll just grab some of these. So I've got some big foam pads here. So I'm just going to 1, 2, 3 like that. Like that. And then I think my lovely assistant will probably, oh, it's okay, I found the scissors. It's just by me, thought I had one. And then all I'm going to do for this jolly one is I'm going to cut this big foam pad into 3. I'm going to put them across the back. Like so. And then I'm actually going to fit these to the card before I actually fit the faces on as well. Oh, do I? Yeah, because I'll actually do the, yeah. So you can do it, you can do the fluffy stuff before you stick it to the card, or you can do the fluffy stuff after. It doesn't matter. If your foam pads are good, there's not going to be any melting at all. They shouldn't shift, they shouldn't lift. So I'm going to pop that in there. Sorry if you see the top of my head, so I'm just going to go there. Trying to get the backing off of these. Because my craft room is in transit, I can't actually find a bookie tool. Ah, got it. Okay, so now I've got a sentiment there. I'm going to centralise the sentiment at the bottom there. And then I'm going to fit my robins on as well. So I'm going to use my 3D glue gel, just clear some of the space away. Clear some of this away. So I've just got the robin, my 3D glue gel. I turn my robins upside down. Now I could put this on in a syringe, but because I don't use it as often as I could do, I leave it in the big tube and use a lollipop stick to actually squeeze them out, and then put the dollop on the back of the piece I want to stick down. So you can see it's sticking out quite a bit, and then I'm going to place that over the top. And you don't have to push it completely all down as well. You can leave it sticking up. So we've got our little robin just sticking up off the card there. You can see it's a little bit. And then I've got the bigger robin face as well. Just squeeze it out. Put that there. So you can see I've got a fair dollop. And like I said, I'm going to put him looking away. I'm going to do him looking away and looking up in the sky as if he's going, they've eaten my food and I don't care. I'm looking to fly off it in a bit. So this is it. You can turn the face so that he's looking right up in the sky. We can have him looking down at the floor. So that's what I'll do. He's looking down at the floor in disgust. Everybody else has eaten his food. And then before you put the lid back on, I push some of the glue out so it's sticking out, and then I put the lid back on. And the reason I do that is if your glue happens to dry in the tip, it means you can pull that tip off when you open it and the glue underneath will be absolutely fine. It's just easier to keep it unblocked that way. Okay, so that's that. So we've got that, and now I need to use fluffy stuff. So fluffy stuff comes in a few colours. White, sweet caramel, I think there's a pink, a blue, green I think as well. There's quite a few colours of fluffy stuff. Comes in little pots like this. You can get big pots of it as well if you want to put it on with a palette knife. You can even spread it on with a palette knife and stuff like that. But these ones come with a little nozzle. Okay, and I'm going to bring these up to the screen a little bit more to do these. Make sure it's in shot first. Because what I'm going to do then, I'm just going to take the glue and I'm just going to wiggle it around a bit. I'm keeping it all bobbly and textured. If I want to spread it, I'll just spread it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's like snow flurries. Okay, so it's like snow flurries, and I'll show you how that looks. So you can see all the curlies and stuff in there. And then what I'm going to do, because I don't want to heat the card too many times, I'm actually going to put the little brown ones, and I think I'm going to put the little brown ones around the flat ones. Okay, so I'm actually going to do, just going to put little spots like I did with the black dark pen, so we'll have light spots and dark spots then going around him. Let's do them around all of them, shall we? There we go. I'm just putting tiny little dots. I'm not squeezing the tub too much because otherwise it would come out too fast. So we've now got tiny little spots of the brown around that. So we just pop the lid back on there. And you can hardly see those, but you will see them in a minute when they start to puff up. So fluffy stuff, it does what it says on the bottle. It fluffies. It goes all fluffy Okay, and it goes fluffy with heat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my heat gun on and make sure it gets the temperature. So just trying to burn my belly here until it's nice and hot. And I'm going to put it just on that little bit there, and hopefully you'll see that start to fluff up. I'm going to bring it up a bit closer as I move it along. So the thicker you put it on, the more it'll fluff up. So you can see all those fluffy bits now all popping up there. And as I'm fluffing up the white ones, little brown ones are fluffing up as well. Just going to pour over, make sure they all fluff up nicely. And I can show you those little brown ones fluffing up there. So you should be able to see all those little brown ones just sticking out there. Yeah, you can see them all sticking out there, and all the white is all fluffy and sticky out as well. Okay, so that is now the card. So two different little colours for the same card. So that was the original, and that's the one I've just done on the live. Done lots more fluffy on that one, and if you want to do lots more fluffy on these instead of little dots, you just put more of the fluffy stuff like we did with the white, and you just heat that around the robins, and that will give you all the little fluffy side of them. So I'll show you the fluffy side of those ones. So you can see it's right around the body, and I've gone over the actual dark part of the head as well. Okay, so you can see that there. Okay. Yeah, so the fluffy stuff, we've got a few colours there. I think the white is out of stock in the shop. I think somebody just posted that as well. But we are, like I said, we are going to be doing an order. So if there's anything you do with Creative Expressions, you can go to Creative Expressions website, look at the products, look at the code, write down the code, write down a brief description and send us that, and then we can actually order it. I am going to be sitting down doing that order probably either tomorrow evening once I finish the class in the shop. Sorry about that. That's because I've just been heating up the fluffy stuff. I've just got all dry throat. So I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, that's okay, Andrea. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Beverly. I know they are so cute, aren't they? But like I said, there's quite a few in the range of these as well, and they all work similarly. You've got the wreath, the tree, the snowman is lovely as well. I'd like to do him with lots of the fluffy, white fluffy stuff, and then put a different face on him. So the robins there, and then of course got the robins on top of each other as well. So if you were looking at maybe having any of the robins one, am I missing one? Ah, there. If you was thinking of wanting the one in the stand or the one in the line like I've used today, and Creative Expressions happen to be out of stock of them, you can make those images from the individual ones, which is the bubble hopping robins. You can lay them out as much as you want. You can just use one robin, two robins, you know, you can do a little one and a mammy, or mammy, daddy and a father. So that one is really clever because you can do whatever you want, wherever you want it, and as many as you want. Okay, so that's something to think of as well. Okay, so that's okay, Barbara. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad that everybody seems to have enjoyed the live. I will try to do a few more. That's okay, Carolyn. That's okay, Sarah. Really, Fabian, Karen. That's okay, Karen. Annie. Everybody loves robins. We do, Annie. We all love robins. So I have to try now, but we'll try hair mousse as my shaving days are over. Yeah. As long as it's like a foam, it's fine. As long as it's foamy and it stays foamy while you put the liquid on it, you're not going to be too bad. Okay, so love this card. Right, so I'm glad you all enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing the live again. We haven't done one for a little while, so this is my way of getting back in and in my little craft room as well again. So thank you very much for all your views and all your lovely comments. Don't forget, if there is anything you need, just let us know and we can see if we can order it if we haven't got it in stock. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a good evening and have a nice weekend as well too. Bye.